Then my first real job was for a startup company called Measurex, and it was literally in a garage down near the San Jose airport. I was about the 40th employee. I was hired by Dave Bosson and Eric Darlene, who were the founders. And it took off. It later went public and it got acquired about 5 years ago by Honeywell. In fact, I just pulled this off the web here. One of the double E courses here has taught Eric Darlene's famous formula for a feedback loop to control a paper mill, which is what we did. We used the same HP 2100s to run a paper mill, so 32K with paper tape readers. Anybody know what that is? No. Somebody, oh, good. There we go. A couple do. So imagine paper mills, 3 inches of water on the floor, 98% humidity. It's a read once medium paper tape. And if you have a bug in your program, 26 feet wide of paper spills out on the mill floor and nobody's happy. So it's a bad thing to have a bug in your program. We learned fast to do debugging. Anyway, that was kind of my introduction to engineering. But I got bitten by the startup bug when I was working at Measurex, met a lawyer, and thought, gee, I wonder if there's a way to work with multiple startup companies at the same time. And I had planned to go to business school, but I decided instead to try law school to see if there was a way to be an advisor to many companies instead of an executive of one company. And that turned out to be right. And again, being at the right place at the right time, a little bit like Forrest Gump, I think. One of the first clients that walked in the door was Apple Computer, and then I've worked with all of the companies here and many that aren't here, but these are some of the names that you'll recognize. And I'd be happy to talk to you at length about any of them. There are some fun stories about them. But probably the most embarrassing incident of my legal career was representing VisiCorp, which was the software supplier to the Apple computer, essentially. And VisiCorp had the exclusive rights to the very first successful spreadsheet, VisiCalc. And it was authored by a couple of guys at MIT, and the marketing rights were gained by a fellow named Dan Filestra, who was my client at VisiCorp. And one of the early employees was a fellow named Mitch Kapoor, who had done a plotting program to go with VisiCalc. So you take the output from the spreadsheet and draw a graph. And at one point, and Mitch authored the program, licensed it to VisiCorp, at one time became an employee of VisiCorp. And Mitch came out from Cambridge, but longed to return to the Boston area, and ultimately decided to leave VisiCorp as an employee. And we negotiated a buyout of all of his future royalty rights to the Trend Plot program, and did the plotting. And as we were putting the finishing touches on the contract, Mitch's lawyer asked me if it would be okay to carve out from the non-competition clause a combination database, plotting, and spreadsheet program. And I went to the CEO of VisiCorp and said, they want to carve this thing out of the non-compete. We're paying him $500,000, which was a small fortune at that time. I don't think we ought to do it. And the CEO told me, it's okay, that's a dumb idea. No one would ever want to do that. And so Mitch went back to Cambridge and taught Transcendental Meditation for a while, and then met a venture capitalist named Ben Rosen, started talking about founding a company. Ben asked him about his non-compete, looked at it and said, you know what we could do? We could do an all-in-one product, Lotus 123. And we could do it for the IBM PC, which VisiCorp wasn't doing because the software arts, the developers didn't believe in the PC. They believed in the Apple II at the time. And the rest is history. The Lotus 123 just wiped out VisiCorp because we created a carve-out to the non-compete. And that's what I wish I had back. But I've had fun with all of these companies. Again, I'll tell you some more stories and answer some questions as we go along. The interesting one is Apple, though, and they were one of our first significant clients in the law firm. I ended up, instead of starting a company, helped to start a law firm back in the early 70s. As I said, our first Silicon Valley client of note was Apple Computer. Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak walked in looking approximately the way they do in the picture on the left, and had only the VW van to their name. And we asked them for our standard fee for incorporating a new company, which was $500. They said, we don't have $500, would you take stock? And we said, no, we're a cash business, we'll take the cash. And so they somehow scraped up the $500, and we didn't get the stock. And then in 1980, when they went public, the $500 worth of stock would have been worth, my estimate is $10 million. So that's the single reason why they should teach entrepreneurship in law school. And that's a lesson that I haven't forgotten.